Edward Burghardt Du Bois was an American sociologist, socialist, historian, and Pan-Africanist civil rights activist. The first Black American to earn a Ph.D. from Harvard University, Du Bois published widely before becoming NAACP's Director of Publicity and Research and starting the organization's official journal, The Crisis, in 1910. Born February 23, 1868, Great Barrington, Massachusetts, United States. Died August 27, 1963, Accra, Ghana. We have come to a generation which seeks advance without ideals, discovery without stars. The hushing of the criticism of honest opponents is a dangerous thing. It leads some of the best of the critics to unfortunate silence and paralysis of effort, and others to burst into speech so passionately and intemperately as to lose listeners. There is in this world no such force as the force of a person determined to rise. The human soul cannot be permanently chained. But the chief problem in any community cursed with crime is not punishment of the criminals, but the preventing of the young from being trained to crime. Education must not simply teach work, it must teach life. I add that I who speak here am bone of the bone and flesh of the flesh of them that live within the veil. Be honest, frank and fearless, and get some grasp of the real values of life. Read some good, heavy, serious books just for discipline. Take yourself in hand and master yourself. Not even 10 additional years of slavery could have done so much to throttle the thrift of the freedmen as the mismanagement and bankruptcy of the series of savings banks chartered by the nation for their especial aid. It was not, then, race and culture calling out of the South in 1876, it was property and privilege, shrieking to its own kind. And privilege and property heard and recognized the voice of its own. High in the tower, where I sit above the loud complaining of the human sea, I know many souls that toss and whirl and pass, but none there are that intrigue me more than the souls of white folk. The power of the ballot we need in sheer self-defense, else what shall save us from a second slavery? Freedom, too, the long sought, we still seek, the freedom of life and limb, the freedom to work and think, the freedom to love and aspire. For this much, all men know, despite compromise, war, and struggle, the Negro is not free. Only in the chamber of death writhes the world's most piteous thing, a childless mother. Nations reel and stagger on their way, they make hideous mistakes, they commit frightful wrongs, they do great and beautiful things. And shall we not best guide humanity by telling the truth about all this, so far as the truth is ascertainable? The music of Negro religion is that plaintive rhythmic melody, with its touching minor cadences, which, despite caricature and defilement, still remains the most original and beautiful expression of human life and longing yet born on American soil. At best, the natural good nature is edged with complaint or has changed into sullenness and gloom. And now and then it blazes forth in veiled but hot anger. Awakening will come, when the pent up vigor of 10 million souls shall sweep irresistibly toward the goal, out of the valley of the shadow of death, where all that makes life worth living, liberty, justice, and right, is marked for white people only. The most important thing to remember is this: to be ready at any moment to give up what you are for what you might become. To be a poor man is hard, but to be a poor race in a land of dollars is the very bottom of hardships. But we do not merely protest, we make renewed demand for freedom in that vast kingdom of the human spirit where freedom has ever had the right to dwell, the expressing of thought to unstuffed ears, the dreaming of dreams by untwisted souls. In all things purely social we can be as separate as the five fingers, and yet one is the hand in all things essential to mutual progress. America is not another word for opportunity to all her sons. And yet not a dream, but a mighty reality, a glimpse of the higher life, the broader possibilities of humanity, which is granted to the man who, amid the rush and roar of living, pauses 4 short years to learn what living means. He began to have a dim feeling that, to attain his place in the world, he must be himself, and not another. The price of culture is a lie. We have no right to sit silently by while the inevitable seeds are sown for a harvest of disaster to our children, black and white. When you have mastered numbers, you will in fact no longer be reading numbers, any more than you read words when reading books. You'll be reading meanings. The true college will ever have but one goal, not to earn meat, but to know the end and aim of that life which meat nourishes. Children learn more from what you are than what you teach. Believe in life. Always human beings will progress to greater, broader, and fuller life. The cost of liberty is less than the price of repression. The worker must work for the glory of his handiwork, not simply for pay. The thinker must think for truth, not for fame. Either America will destroy ignorance or ignorance will destroy the United States. There is but one coward on earth, and that is the coward that dares not know. The world still wants to ask that a woman primarily be pretty, and if she is not, the mob pouts and asks querulously, what else are women for? What do nations care about the cost of war, if by spending a few hundred millions in steel and gunpowder they can gain 1,000 millions in diamonds and cocoa? Honest and earnest criticism from those whose interests are most nearly touched, criticism of writers by readers, of government by those governed, of leaders by those led. This is the soul of democracy and the safeguard of modern society. The problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line. To the real question, how does it feel to be a problem? I answer seldom a word. For education among all kinds of men always has had, and always will have, an element of danger and revolution, of dissatisfaction and discontent. But art is not simply works of art, it is the spirit that knows beauty, that has music in its being and the color of sunsets in its handkerchiefs, that can dance on a flaming world and make the world dance, too. The power of the ballot we need in sheer defense. Else what shall save us from a second slavery? The white economic and political elite often fail to recognize blacks as American. Just as blacks often failed to recognize their potential for advancement outside of the limited opportunities afforded them by whites.